Good day, ma'am. My name is Analou Cardinas from CHAPTER-17. I'm going to report the last chapter, which is Chapter 17, entitled Special Topics. Learning objectives, discuss the various special laws affecting the tourism industry, identify situations and problems where these special laws may be applied as a solution, identify some tourist establishments that implements as well as not implement the special laws. Topic outline, introduction, senior citizen law, warranties in supply of services, cultural minorities protected areas, wildlife and heritage and cultural representations, draft charter on the rights of minorities, National Caves and Cave Resources Management Protection Act, Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, National Integrated Protected Areas System Act, Law on Intellectual Property Rights, Anti-Child Abuse Law, Anti-Prostitution Law, Anti-Pornography Law, Anti-Hijacking Law, Dangerous Law, Anti-Smoking Law, Anti-Smuggling Law, Law on Violence Against Women and Children, Laws on Human Trafficking, International Law Tourism, the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism, Health Tourism, Tourism Research, and Conclusion. This chapter discusses special topics and special laws that will be useful in managing and operating a tourism-related establishment. Senior Citizen Law, Republic Act No. 9257, also known as the Senior Citizen Law of 2004, was enacted to provide senior citizens the following: grant of 20% discount on all prices of goods and services offered to a general public, regardless of the amount purchased from establishments, irrespective of classification relative to the utilizations of services for the exclusive use of senior citizens in the following hotels and similar lodging establishments, restaurants, and recreational centers. B. A minimum of 20% discounts on admission fees charged by theaters, cinemas, houses, and concert halls, circuses, and carnivals and other similar places of culture, leisure, and amusement for the executive use of or enjoyment of senior citizens. Letter C. At least 20% discount in fare of domestic air and sea travel based on actual fare, including the promotional fare, advanced booking, and similar discounted fare of the exclusive use and enjoyment of a senior citizen. Letter D. 20% discount in public railways, including LRT, MRT, PNR, Skyways, and fares in buses, public jeepneys, taxis, and shuttle services for the exclusive use and enjoyment of senior citizens. Letter F. Crimes against destructions such as arson, violation under toxic substances and hazardous, and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990, Automatic Energy Regulatory and Liability of Act 1968, Anti-Hijacking Law and Anti-Privacy and Anti-Robbery Highway Law, Illegal and Unlawful Possessions, Manufacture, Dealing in Acquisitions or Depositions of Firearms, Ammunition, and Explosives. This explains that this law gives people aged 60 and above a 20% discount on goods and services like hotels, restaurants, and transportations. It also gives them priority in services and other benefits. The goal is to honor and support senior citizens in their daily lives. Article 69. Warranties in supply of services. In every contract for the supply or of services to a consumer made by a seller in the course of a business, there is an implied warranty that the service will be rendered with due care and skill, that any material supplies in connection with such services will be reasonably fit for the purpose of which it's supplied. This law says that when business provides services, they must do it carefully and skillfully. The materials used should also be suitable for their purposes. If not, consumers can complain or ask for the refund. The law, UAI, Draft Charter on the Right of Minorities. The lawyers' associations have a role play in promoting the defending the individual and collective rights of minorities and their members. Hence, the lawyers' associations at an international meeting in San Francisco have decided to adopt an international charter for the purpose of seeking to ensure that the principles set below are complied with. Article 1. No individual may be subject to disadvantage of any kind because she is a member of a particular national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, or religious minority, or because of his or her sexual learnings. Article 2. The Lawyers Association will take steps to encourage teaching relating to the rights of minorities in law schools and institutions for continuing education with which they are concerned, including teaching as to the nature or such rights as to the ways in which lawyers may effectively defend them. Article 3. An individual or trial who belongs to a minority group is entitled to be tried in accordance with the principles granted by international law. She is entitled to be tried before an independent and impartial court. This explains Charter defends the right of minority groups. It says no one should be treated unfairly because of race, culture, or beliefs. It also promotes teaching about these rights in law schools. The law, RA number 9072, National Caves and Cave Resources Management Protection Act, April 8, 2001. The law implements the policy of the state to conserve, protect, and manage caves and cave resources as part of the country's natural wealth. Towards this end, the state shall strengthen cooperation and exchange of information between governmental authorities and people who utilize caves and caves resources for specific educational, recreational, and tourism and other purposes. This law protects caves and natural resources found inside them. It encourages safe use for tourism, education, and science. The government works with people to manage these caves. The law, Republic Act 9147, Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, July 30, 2001. The law implements the policy of the state to conserve the country's wildlife resources and their habitats for sustainability. The law shall have the following objectives: A. To conserve the protect wildlife species and their habitats to promote ecological balance and enhance biological diversity. B. To regulate the collections and trade the wildlife. C. To pursue with due regard to the national interest, the Philippines' commitment to international conventions, protection of wildlife and their habitats. Letter D. To initiate or support scientific studies on the conservation of biological diversity. This law protects wild animals and their homes. It controls hunting and trading of animals. It also supports research to keep nature balanced. The law, Republic Act 7586, National Integrated Protected Area System Act of 1992, June 1, 1992. This law is based on the policy of the state to secure for the Filipino people of present and future generations the perpetual existence of all native plants and animals through establishments of a comprehensive system of integrated protected areas within the classification of national parks as provided for the Constitution. The establishment of National Integrated Protected Areas System (NIPAS) shall encompass outstandingly remarkable areas and biologically important public lands that are habitats of rare and endangered species of plants and animals, biogeographic zones and related ecosystems, whether terrestrial, wetland, or marine, all of which shall be designated as protected areas. This explains that the law creates protected areas to save forests, oceans, and wildlife. These places are kept safe for future generations. It aims to stop damage to rare and important ecosystems. The next is Law on Intellectual Property Right, RA 8293, Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. The law. The law is enacted to streamline administrative procedures of registering patents, trademarks, and copyright, to liberalize the registrations on the transfer of technology, and to enhance the enforcement of intellectual property rights in the Philippines. The next is Anti-Child Abuse Law, RA 7610, Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act as amended by RA 9231 in 2003. The law. The law implements the policy of the state to provide special protection to children from all form of abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, discrimination, and other conditions prejudicial to their development, including child labor and worse crimes, and provide sanctions for their commissions. So the explanation of Intellectual Property Code RA 8293, this law protects ideas like inventions, book, music, and logos. It makes sure creators get credit and payment. It also helps fight against piracy. So Anti-Child Abuse Law RA 7610 RA 9231. It explained that this law protects children from abuse, exploitation, and child labor. It punishes people who harm or take advantage of kids. It supports children's safety and development. The next is Anti-Prostitution Law. The Law Article 202. Prostitutes. For purposes of this article, women who, for money or profit, habitually indulge in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct are deemed prostitutes. So this explains that this law punishes those who engage in support prostitution. It aims to stop the use of people for sexual services. The law also protects victims from being further harmed. The next is Anti-Pornography Law. The law R201, Immortal Doctrines, Obscene Publications and Exhibitions, and Indecent Shows. The penalty shall be imposed upon: number 1, those who publicly promote doctrines against public morals; 2, authors, editors, and sellers of obscene literature; those who shows indecent or immoral content in public places like theaters or fairs, including materials that glorifies crimes or criminals, promotes violence, lust, or pornography, offend any race or religion, encourages drug use, violates laws, morals, customs, or public orders; those who distribute or display immoral films, prints, or literature. This explains that this law stops the spread of obscene or immoral content. It punishes people who sell or show offensive immaterials in public. It protects public morals and values. Next is Anti-Smoking Law. Republic Act 8749, Philippines Clean Air Act of 1999. The law implements the policy of the state to pursue the policy of balancing development and environmental protection. To achieve this end, the framework for sustainable development shall be pursued. It is in the regard that the policy of the state shall be based on the following objectives: A. Develop a national or air pollution management program with clear government coordinations and delegations. B. Promote citizens and industry cooperation through market based on incentives and self-regulation. C. Prioritize pollution prevention with a comprehensive air quality management approach. Letter D. Raise public awareness and support active community participation in air monitoring and planning. A. Enforce accountability for environmental impacts, including cleanup, funding, and compensations for damages. This law protects air quality and promotes clean air. It controls smoking in public places. It encourages cleaner and healthier environment for all. The next is Anti-Smuggling Law. The law. Section 3601, Unlawful Importation. Any person who shall fraudulently import or bring into the Philippines or access in so doing any article contrary to law or shall receive, conceal, buy, sell, or any manner facilitate the transportation, concealment, or sale of such article after importations, knowing the same to have been imported contrary law, shall be guilty of smuggling. When upon trial for violation of this section, the defendant is shown to have had possessions of the article in question, possession shall be deemed sufficient evidence to authorize convictions unless the defendant shall explain the possessions to the satisfactions on the court, provided, however, that payment of the tax due after compensation shall not constitute a valid defense in any prosecution under this section. This law punishes illegal import and export of goods. It stops tax evasions and protects local businesses. Possessing smuggled items can lead to jail time. The next is Law on Violence Against Women and Children. Republic Act 9262, Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act of 2004. The law, Section 3. Violence against women and children refers to any act or a series of acts committed by any person against woman who is his wife, former wife, or against a woman with whom the person has or had a sexual or dating relationship, or with whom he has a common child, whether legitimate or illegitimate, within or without a family abode, which results in or is likely result in physical, sexual, psychological harm or suffering, or economic abuse, including threats of such acts, battery, assaults, coercion, harassment, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. A dating relationship refers to a situation wherein the parties lives as a husband and wife without the benefits of marriage or any romantically involved over time and on a continuing basis during the course of the relationship. A casual acquaintance or ordinary socializations between two individuals in business or social context is not a dating relationship. This law protects women and children from abuse at home or in relationships. It punishes physical, emotional, and economic harm. It helps victims get legal and emotional support. The next is Laws on Human Trafficking. Republic Act 9208, Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2003, May 26, 2003. The law. Section 3. Trafficking in persons refers to a recruitment, transportation, transfer, or harboring or receipt of a person with or without the victim's consent or knowledge within or across national borders by means of threats or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deceptions, abuse of power, or of positions, taking advantage of this vulnerability of the persons or the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another persons for the purpose of exploitations, which includes at a minimum the exploitations or the prostitution of others or others forms of sexual exploitations, forced labor or services, slavery, servitude, or the removal, sale of organs. The recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a child for the purpose of exploitation shall be considered as trafficking in person. 6. Tourism refers to a program organized by travel and tourism related establishments and individuals which consists of tourism packages or activities utilizing an offering escort and sexual services as enticements for tourists. This includes sexual services and practices offering during rest and recreation periods for members of the military. This law stops the buying, selling, or moving of people for abuse or forced labor. It protects victims and punishes traffickers. It also fights sex tourism and child trafficking. The next is International Law on Tourism. The law. World Tourism Organization. The World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, is a specialized agency of the United Nations and the leading international organizations in the field of tourism. It serves as a global forum for tourism policy issues and practical source of tourism know-how. It plays a central and decisive role in promoting the development of responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism, paying particular attention to the interests of developing countries. The organization encourages the implementation of global code of ethics for tourism with a view to ensuring that member countries' tourist destinations and businesses maximize the positive economic, social, and cultural effects of tourism and fully reap its benefits while minimizing the negative social and environmental impact. Its members includes 157 countries, including the Philippines, the territories, and more than 300 affiliate members presenting the private sector, education institutions, tourism associations, and local tourism authorities. UNWTO is committed to the United Nations Millennium Development Goals geared towards reducing poverty and fostering sustainable development. This law comes from the World Tourism Organizations. It promotes safe, fair, and responsible tourism worldwide. It supports sustainable tourism in developing countries. The next is the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. The Global Code of Ethics for Tourism sets a frame of reference for the responsible and sustainable development of world tourism. It draws inspirations from many similar declarations and industry codes that have come before, and it adds new thinking that reflects our changing society at the beginning of the 21st century. With international tourism forecast to nearly triple in volume over the next 20 years, members of the World Tourism Organizations believe that the Global Code of Ethics of Tourism is needed to help minimize the negative impact of tourism on the environment and the cultural heritage while maximizing the benefits for residents of tourism destination. This code guides tourism to be respectful, fair, and helpful to communities. It reduces harm to culture and nature. It encourages tourists and businesses to act responsibly. The next is health tourism, the law. Health tourism is tourism associated with travel to health spas or resort destinations where the primary purpose is to improve travelers' physical well-being through a regimen or physical exercise and therapy, dietary control, and medical services relevant to health maintenance. This involves traveling to relax, heal, or get medical care. People go to spas or health resorts to feel better. It supports wellness and tourism together. The next is tourism research. The law. Tourism plays a vital role in regional development, generating around 2 to 3 million jobs and supporting related industries like transport, hospitality, and retail. The local government code of 1991 transferred tourism planning and promotions responsibility to LGU, supported by regional tourism councils composed of private and public sector members. The Department of Tourism, through its planning sector, creates and updates the Tourism Master's Plan and work with stakeholders to enhance tourism products and investment opportunities. Tourism research helps improve travel experiences and local economies. It helps the government plan better tourism programs. It also supports more jobs and business in communities. According to Thomas Jefferson, a lawyer without books would be like a workman without tools. For the conclusion, special laws help protect people and nature in the tourism industry. They make sure everyone is treated fairly, including seniors, children, women, and indigenous groups. This law protect the environment, culture, and public safety. Knowing these laws help tourism workers serve guests better and follow the rules. They guide businesses on how to act responsibly and legally. Following these laws builds trust with tourists. In the end, a safe and respectful tourism industry benefits everyone. And that would be all. Thank you.